Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 269 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, starting with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. How you holding up today, Richard?
As well as could be on like day 18 billionth of quarantine, but things are going okay.
Well, that's good. And of course, content creator extraordinaire Krim. How you doing? How you holding up in the coronavirus world?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Outside of like the like fear of getting sick and all that or whatnot and passing it on, it's more of the same for me. I'm inside anyways all the time because you know my days are usually like make content. All right, finish, walk my dog, go stream. Like so.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. Everyone is like adjusting to quarantine, and I'm just like, oh, this is like another week. Like, you know, obviously there's a ton of stuff going on in the outside world, which is like crazy and scary and all that. Not minimizing any of that, but for me personally, it's like, oh, I kind of am just doing the same thing that I always do for the most part. So I'm prepared, I guess, for.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I guess that's the difference this time. I have a fear that I might run out of toilet paper.
We already talked about. That's what our bulk comments are for.
I just use
I need to
forests.
know, like, can you get any kind of poisoning from like magic cards? Are they safe?
I wonder if you could. They're probably not toxic.
They must be, right? They're for kids. I'm pretty sure kids just eat the cards or something, right? Like, I'm sure.
They are pretty toxic. Have you seen Veil of Summer? I've got plenty of those I'm going to be using.
We should start a magic card cooking show.
I
wonder what
love
recipes
that idea.
If things got really, really bad and it's like the zombie apocalypse, and what's the best way to eat your magic cards? Anyway, our topics for today, it's a weird time in the Magic world. There's not really tournaments, but we do have some kind of random news. Talk about what's going on in the world of Magic as far as Ikoria releasing and spoilers starting, some teasers from Mark Rosewater, some digital changes with different events coming to Magic Arena in Magic Online, including MagicFest, sort of moving online. So we're going to jump around, cover all that stuff, maybe talk a little bit about what we've been playing in Magic, answer your fish mail. But before we jump into it, a reminder that our show today is brought to you by Card Conduit. And if you've ever struggled trying to sell your Magic cards with just all the time and effort it takes to sort them and type them into buy lists and ship them all over the world, Card Conduit's got you covered. It's the easiest way to sell Magic cards. And from the folks over at Card Hoarder, they will take and sort, grade, and sell your cards. And once the shipment is processed, you'll receive the proceeds minus their fee. And right now, you can even get a 10% discount by going to cardconduit.com/goldfish. So thank you to Card Conduit for supporting the podcast today. And let's talk some Magic. So what are we starting off with today? Let's talk about digital changes. I think that is probably the big topic. Like we mentioned, it's a weird time in Magic. People can't really play Magic in paper most places. Like non-essential businesses are literally shut down, and even if it's not shut down where you are, you might not want to go out to a LGS and play an FNM. So what is Wizards doing, Richard, to help kind of give players a place to play Magic during this time?
All right. First up, if you are an arena player, Brawl is free, and they brought back Theros Ranked Draft. So that's in addition to, I forgot what other set is currently, but there's 2 draft sets going on right now. So some stuff to tide you over on Magic Arena. And I believe they are releasing more stuff next week or this week rather. So keep an eye out for that. And then MagicFest. So we know MagicFest and paper have been canceled. They're bringing MagicFest online. So Channel Fireball's working with Wizards to bring MagicFest online. And basically it's an online MagicFest, but I'm trying to read the details. It's not clear what the formats are or what exactly it is.
It's standard.
I think so. It's standard, and basically, they're calling it MagicFest. It's not exactly the same as a MagicFest. Basically, how it works is every day they have 4 different qualifiers at different times to try to allow you to play wherever you are in the world at a convenient time. They're $25 to enter one of the qualifiers, you got to go 5-1. And if you go 5-1 in a qualifier, then you advance to a weekly championship. And the weekly championship actually has a pretty big prize pool, $25,000 of cash prizes, along with invites to Players Tour events once things get up and running again in the future, or even a top 32 invitation to the season finals. So there's pretty big money on the line with these. I'm very curious your thoughts. Like, obviously, more ways to play Magic without leaving your house seems great right now. The thing that jumped out at me, though, was $25 for a qualifier. When you think about Arena, and just my experiences talking to people like on the Arena subreddit, I would imagine most players, maybe 80-90% of Arena players, probably have not paid $25 for Arena, period, since they started playing it. Do you think there's a market for people to pay $25 to try to go 5-1 in a qualifier?
Yes.
I think it's there. Yeah.
The majority of players will not, right? The majority of players are casual players. But we know there are moto grinders. We know there are people that not only pay $25, they pay $2,500 to go play by flying across the world and getting hotels and stuff like that. So those players will definitely play in these kind of events. So I don't have a fear of this thing not, quote unquote, firing. But you do raise an interesting point for like the casual person that logs in, plays their tribal deck, does dailies, and quits. Like, when they see this, what do they actually see? Do they see like a money grab by Wizards? Do they see a high level tournament and an entry into pro play? Like, it'll be interesting what the optics of this are, because I think this is the first time we kind of have like a high value or high entry fee event for Magic Arena players. So all the free to play players are going to see this for the first time. Yeah,
this is by far the highest EV event we've had outside of like Mythic Invitationals. But go ahead, Krim.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, it's just pretty much. My thing is more like, I am wondering how, like, it moving forward. Could this be the norm, right? Like, could we get more of these? Even once paper events are back, like, will we see more of these again? And if so, like, example, like, $25 is not that bad when I'm used to paying like $80 to go to like play in a main event, right? Of course, I get a promo and a playmat, but you know what? Like, I guess that'd be pretty cool. They started like shipping people promos if you paid $25, but I mean, because I do want that Path to Exile, but whatever. Anyways, before I go off on that tangent, like, is this gonna be the last we see of something like this online? Because if this does really well, which I hope it does, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would love to just do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, going and traveling super far is a thing, but like, I don't know, what if I don't want to travel and I just want to play a MagicFest from my home? And then what you do is you then turn the actual MagicFest into like a full-on convention.
I mean, I think the name MagicFest is a little deceptive. Like, when I think of MagicFest, I kind of think of the convention aspect where you can play side events, you can sit on a back table and play Commander all weekend. This is definitely like kind of the arena version of the GP part of the MagicFest, essentially. It doesn't encompass all that other stuff, and it has essentially nothing for the casual players, which make up a huge part of Arena's player base. Although, as we said, like Brawl being free, there are other things that are kind of catering towards the casual crowd during this time. It's going to be really interesting. I think my catch with the high price on Arena is always the fact that Arena doesn't have an economy. Like, $25 is around what you would pay on Magic Online to play a qualifier. But on Magic Online, you get money back in something that actually can be worth more than 25 real dollars. So in a time when, I mean, there's lots of layoffs and unemployment is spiking and the economy is in a really weird shape, I'm genuinely curious, like, how many people are going to have $25 per qualifier to potentially play these multiple times a week. You could be talking $200, $300 a week if you wanted to, play a bunch of qualifiers and really try to get to the weekly finals for the $25,000 prize. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I do think that Wizards would like to see more of that moving forward. And this sounds weird. And I don't think that it's definitely not how Wizards wanted to get to this point, but I think this is something that Wizards would have liked to seen anyway, eventually, even if there was no coronavirus, everything was going normally, I wouldn't be surprised if this was part of Wizards' long-term game plan as far as like paper standard play.
So to clarify, you do win $25,000 if you like somehow like win, right? Like that is the prize pool. So you don't need to get tickets or cards. Like you are basically playing for this cash prize pool. What's interesting is these are all in dollars. And this is the first time we see dollars in Arena. Like, notice it doesn't say 2,500 gems and you win 250,000 gems or whatever, right? Like, you pay $25 and get $25,000. So I don't know what that means for tournaments, like online tournaments that you actually pay this. And like, if you're an international player, like what this means, because I'm assuming this is US dollars, but yeah, you're just paying cash and you can win cash and it's dollars for the first time in Arena, which will be interesting because like, what do? You press sign up and it takes you to the credit card page and you punch in your credit card. Like I have no idea what this is going to look like.
I was actually going to ask that. I think it's just starting today, so I haven't actually got to see how you sign up for it. I'm curious if you do it directly through Arena. I assume you would have to, since it's like MagicFest and that's part of the official Magic brand, or if it's something like that you do through Channel Fireball. But that is definitely an interesting wrinkle that it's not gems; they're just taking $25 actual dollars somewhere.
Can I use lots of gold
to answer you,
sign up?
That would be amazing if you could. Oh my gosh. But yeah, like I think if you go to the events page of CFB, I think you like submit a deck list there, and I think you pay through that website. And then, I don't know, you probably, it pulls you all together in that qualifier, I guess. So,
then you somehow, submit your Magic Arena name and then they sign you up somehow.
Yeah. Cause you can see pairings on the thing, right? Cause it shows your, like right now, if you go there, it actually shows everybody that's signed up and you could see like their name plus, you know, their hashtag. Yeah. I don't know, whatever their number is.
So who is the first streamer to lose in a high stakes match, post on social media and get this removed entirely? Because that is one issue I do see happening where you're playing for the top prize and then your arena crashes. What happens? Because that Magic Online never recovered from that. Remember, we used to have large scale events on Magic Online until Kibler got hit and, you know.
And they had to rebuild the tournament, right?
I honestly think the odds of that are higher of happening on Arena in its current state than it was on Magic Online when it happened. Like, just my personal experience of playing games. Have any of you been hit by the concede bug? Where if you concede a game at the wrong time, it concedes the entire match and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
That's like, could you imagine trying to concede game one of a $25,000 finals and it just be like, haha, you lost the match. Congratulations, opponent. Your head explodes, literally.
I mean, yeah, like there's bugs. There are some fears that I would have, mostly, like internet, like lagging and dropping out is the big thing. And I don't know, like all the misclicking from like where your client just like having like just like slowing down after an amount of time, right? I mean, I'm just gonna, if I'm playing this event, I'm literally resetting every round.
You restart your computer after every game.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, buy a new computer for every match.
I mean, like, I would be so afraid of that though, right? Like what if it like crashes and then like I time out at a random spot because of it? Who knows, right? But we'll see.
So, about these tournaments, what do you think of the setup of arena tournaments? Because they're definitely different than paper tournaments. And at first I thought maybe it was just like they don't have the tournament structure to do traditional tournaments on arena, which is true. But the more that we see, like, I kind of wonder if you got to go X and 1 or X and O or X and 2. Maybe that's the long-term game plan for Arena. Maybe that's not just like, oh, our client isn't to the place where it can hold traditional tournaments. Maybe that's actually the goal of the Arena tournaments. What do you think of that style compared to the paper style where, you know, you have the Swiss standings and tiebreakers and all that stuff?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I like it. It's pretty, it's pretty great. And on top of that, it's only, you have to go 5-5-1, right? So that's 6 rounds. Like, that's so much better than, like, when I remember, like, playing a GP, and then I'd have to play, like, I day two'd, and I was doing well, and then I just, lose the next like 4 rounds. And so I spent 2 days for like $30.
At the same time, though, the 6 rounds, though, that's just a qualifier to get you to the 2-day event on the weekend. Like, if you do go 5-1, your prize is you qualify for a 2-day tournament that weekend.
Like, you could finish
spread out at home, right?
Yeah, you could finish 5-1 in like an hour if you're playing like a fast deck. Whereas if we play Swiss pairings, that's minimum 6 hours, if not 7, right? Because you have to wait for everyone else to finish. So I do like this new structure more. Whether that cutoff is reasonable or not, I don't know. But I remember like the reason I did not ever play the Magic Online events, because I didn't want to wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning and then for the next 12 hours of my life, like trying to grind through or, you know, MagicFest themselves, like Grand Prix, where, you know, every round takes an hour and 10 minutes or something. So it just takes forever to finish matches. But here you can just play 5 things. If you did well, then you wait for the next part of the tournament, which I assume will be Swiss. But it lets you kind of blaze through the earlier matches a lot faster.
And you don't get yelled at for being on your phone, even though it's Comp Ariel. And on top of that, I can have lunch while playing and not worry about spilling it all over my cards.
I mean, you do need a pretty high win percentage to spike a qualifier. Like 5-1, you're looking at what, like 85-ish% win rate? I mean, I guess the good news is if you have unlimited resources, there's 4 qualifiers a day. And
wait, you can just keep re-entering qualifiers?
Yeah. They're set at 4 different times each day. So I guess that would be 20 throughout the week. So in theory, like if you lose the first one, I assume you can just wait till the next one and do the next one. And sooner or later, if you spend enough money, you should go 5-1 just by law of it. Like all your opponents will mold a 4-1 one time and you got there. So you can kind of brute force your way through, but 85% is a pretty high win percentage. So if you're just like a casual player or semi-competitive player, would you recommend them playing that? Like, I mean, is this for the spikiest of the spikes? The MPL players, the people that have a legit shot of like top 8 GPs? Or do you think this is something for the random, like, I made it to platinum type player on Magic Arena? Or are they just like flushing $25 down the toilet repeatedly as they get stomped by mythic top 100 players, MPL players?
Even if you are good, you're flushing $25 down the toilet. Yeah. Even LSV is probably flushing $25 down the toilet, but it's not that. Okay. A Magic Online League. If you 5-0 a Magic Online League, this is a 5-1, right? So it's not easy to 5-0 a league, but it's not like impossible either, right? Like if you are a spiky player, if you are, you know, not a spike, like if your deck is not 100% the way you want it, like if you're like, oh, I'm missing this mythic, I'll just sub it with this other rare, like this is not the event for you, right? But if you are like a spike and you play at Grand Prix and things like that, a 5-1 is not that unreasonable. Like you could do it. Now you won't be able to do it every single time, but that's not like that far fetched, right? Like a 4-1 in a league is not unreasonable. He's got to like get one more lucky game in. Like it's not that hard.
I find this easier for the person that is like, if you had to compare this between like, you know, this structure and like the normal like MagicFest paper structure, I find this a little bit easier. I mean, what you have to go X2 to make it into day 2, right? So that's like 8-9 rounds, I believe. So like, I feel like this is easier and at the comfort of your own home. And on top of that, like, it's you have 4 shots if you really want to keep pushing, right? If not, it's like $25. It's like I played a side event.
I think the win percentage is somewhat higher than going like X2, like 6-2 or whatever in an 8 round. Like that's like 75%. This is like 84-ish%. So it's a little bit higher. I think the other thing is with the Moto comparison, one of the nice things about Moto leagues is if you go 3-2, you technically come out ahead. You get your money back, plus you get a treasure chest, which is worth $2 or $3. So you're technically profiting at 3-2. When I believe with this, you basically go 5-1 and get something, or you go 4-2 and you get nothing. Like it's 20 all or nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure the EV of this thing is super negative, but like I said, if you're a competitive player,
most EV is negative.
Like, has someone actually calculated their actual Grand Prix spendings versus how much they earned and like what that is when you factor in hotels, flights, and all that? I'm pretty sure it's super negative. So it's really like you're a competitive player. You want to play with the best of the best. You want to test yourself. here we go. Right? Rather than like, I have $25. What is the best use of it? It is definitely not playing in a MagicFest, right? It's something else.
I guess
right?
you've
You gotta
saved
save that money
then.
for toilet paper.
Well, yes,
Get you one
that.
whole roll.
You have saved money though, because now for those that would have traveled afar and for lodging and all that, they don't got to do that. It's just, let's just say $100. You only pay for the entry. Problem solved of the GP event.
So Krim, are you going to grind these? Are you going to try to qualify for the weekly events?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I can see me potentially doing one, maybe as like a stream kind of content thing, but like I can't see me doing all 4 of them every day. Like you know,
is
what I
it
mean?
all because you would have to play standard 4 times a day?
It's partially that, but like if this were like Pioneer, I would do it easily. Yeah, Pioneer. If it were modern, sure. Like, I don't know how you would do it, but if it were EDH, sure, why not, right? Like,
I wonder if they would consider that. Like, if this is something that's going to be ongoing for months, maybe. I wonder if there would be, like, a historic week or something. Like, that could be interesting.
I would love
or
that.
even Brawl.
Sure, yeah. Like, I just, right now, I think, like, if it weren't, let's just say it weren't this format. If it were just even my favorite formats. If it were my favorite formats, I guess I would play a little bit more. I'd play a little bit more. I'd try like 2, but even then I wouldn't go like hard, right? I wouldn't go all 4 all 4 flights every day.
Yeah, I mean that would be $100 a day. That would really add up.
Yeah, that's
pretty
now
quickly.
more expensive.
I mean, hopefully you're spiking one before you have to play all 20 in a week or something. Like in theory, hopefully you do. The other important part of this announcement is there's coverage of these. Channel Fireball is actually going super hard with coverage. If I'm understanding it right, they're trying to go basically like 24/7, where there's 4 flights a day and they're going to be covering all of them. So there's just going to be like this constant CFB stream of covering these qualifiers and then the weekend events. The coverage itself is not what you would expect from like a Mythic Championship or something, because we don't have spectator mode or any real infrastructure to support this on Arena. Still,
Not
Arena,
yet.
you should probably fix that. But it is interesting, I guess. We'll see. Do you think this will be a high viewer thing, or is this just going to be another stream essentially?
I feel the finals could be high viewers, but if they're streaming like literally every single flight for like 24 hours, like it's just like way too much Magic, right? Like I don't know, right? But maybe because everyone's at home doing nothing and watching Twitch, maybe it gets high viewerships. But I feel that it'll be too watered down because it's just going on for literally forever. But I feel once we get to the finals, maybe people will start tuning in and watch it with more focus.
And I believe that they just asked as many people as possible to stream, and they were just going to kind of like pick up random streams who are streaming the event, and that's like the coverage, quote unquote, with someone doing commentary. So it's not like they can have feature matches or pick, oh, this is a cool deck versus a cool deck. It's like, oh, someone, is streaming the event. We'll pull up their stream and talk over it.
Let's talk about competitive integrity for a second here. Would you guys be streaming this if you were playing seriously?
At this point, if I were worried about stream sniping, I wouldn't be streaming. So I guess
like when you're streaming for free, but if you are trying to get into this $25,000 prize pool.
Yeah, it sucks and it shouldn't happen, but I think I've gotten used to it.
Would you?
Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing that I've gotten used to? Maybe. But like, I don't know. If I'm streaming this and, you're just hoping like that everybody has competitive integrity. Like, I mean, that they are. I mean, that's all you can do, really, right?
There's actually I don't agree with the argument, but there is actually an argument over the stream sniping thing that if there's $25,000 on the line and it's not against the rules to stream snipe, that it's actually the right thing to do to stream snipe. That's actually the most moral thing that you
that
can
is
do.
the spike tournament, right? Like
there are people coming from that perspective where it's not even something that they consider to be wrong. They consider it the correct thing to do because the goal is to win $25,000. It's not against the rules. So if I can see your hand, that's the right choice.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had people come into my chat talk to me while we're playing and like, hey, why do you have that in your hand? I'm like, why are you in my chat? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, okay. And like, I don't even know, like, you're like, cause they're so oblivious to it. It's like, do I even ban you? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think they're just
like,
doing it for attention, right? But I feel like it's the same people that would rules lawyer, right? Like rules lawyering, technically legal, right? Actually, it's like very legal. Like there's no technicality about it, right? But like as a competitor, you may find it scummy or not, but it is an angle to gain an edge, right? And I feel stream sniping is the same way, right? Scummy, but I mean, if you're going to open yourself up to be taken advantage of, and my goal is to win $25,000, like you know, people are going to do it. And
yeah, oh yeah, people stream snipe for a lot less.
So I don't know about this, and that's not even counting like the other kind of cheating where like I'm playing and I'm like, Krim, do you want to watch over my shoulder and tell me when I'm about to punt? Is the combat math correct here? Right? Like there's all kinds, or account sharing. Right? Like, hey, LSV, would you like to play on my account for top 8 and we'll split the prize pool? Right? Like, there's all kinds of shady things that can go on. But I mean, stream sniping is one of the easier things to fix. I don't know about the other things by adding a delay, but that would require like an actual spectator mode, which we don't have. Right? So,
well, you can set it on your stream, right? Your stream is on a delay. So everything that
general
if it's on a delay, then how are you going to spectate it?
Yeah, it's also true. But I think the general consensus seems to be of Magic streamers that delays are super bad for your stream. Yeah. And that's been my experience as well. So
they are.
I haven't seen it with $25,000 on the line, but I know most people in tournaments that I've been involved with, even like $5,000 being on the line, it's pretty much unanimous that everyone chooses to not delay the stream just for the sake of the viewers and making a good experience.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, when we, like, example, like, Twitch Rivals, right? Like, everyone's just like, whatever, we're not, like, it's really bad to do it with the delay.
Yeah, that's because you're all, like, big name streamers, and, like, just for your brand, you would never stream snipe, right? It was, like, the death of your brand and your channel, if, like, that was ever found out, right? But when you're getting people that are not streamers playing these tournaments, right? It's, like, a different ballpark, right? Like, they're not trying to show people a good time and things like that. They're trying to win. So yeah, the bar is kind of different.
Definitely the correct EV thing is to not stream. Like if your goal is to win $25,000, you're going to get more percentage points by just not streaming at all. But then that works against the whole idea of coverage of this event at the same time, which kind of complicates the coverage plan. If the correct thing to do is not stream, but you really need everyone to stream for coverage, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
On the brighter side, you don't have to worry about somebody keeping, like, I don't know, an additional Leyline of the Void in their lap and, like, trying to, like, put that in their hand.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
Like, this is all digital, so I do like that, right?
This just reminds me of, like, when Hearthstone first came out and they had digital tournaments. And then on Reddit, you would have these threads of, like, it's like some streamer and then they enhance the glasses and then like they filter the reflection and they're like, look, he's stream sniping on the other monitor. You can see the reflection, like enhance. But you're right.
Right,
no cheating. No adding additional cards from your lap. No stacking your deck. No.
Yeah. I don't have to cut your deck. Oh, this is a problem because like a few months back, like I'd go to F&M or whatever. I'd go to these paper events and people would present their deck and I would just stare at them and I'm like, oh, right. You want me to cut your deck. Sorry, my bad. I'm like, what? Like I was getting nervous because people were just staring at me and I'm like, hi.
So let's move on from Arena a little bit and talk about kind of why all of this is happening, which is paper Magic is not happening right now. Essentially, many states and countries are essentially locked down. People aren't going out. Local game stores are closed or closing. What do you think this means? We have a set release that is scheduled, well, spoilers are scheduled to start next week on Thursday, I believe, April 2nd, and then the set is supposed to pre-release April 17th, I believe, a couple weeks after that. Do you think there's any chance that that release schedule is going to change for paper or for, I mean, I imagine they can't change it for digital. I imagine if anything, they would want to have it up on digital today while everyone's like stuck at home. But what do you think about Paper Magic right now and the release of Ikoria?
Paper Magic is just up in the air right now. Like, it's so, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those, I can't even like, I don't think they should put it out, right? Like, I think they should delay it, but at the same time, they shouldn't delay it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe.
So like pre-release is definitely canceled, right? Like I don't expect anyone to go to their LGS in 3 weeks time
they don't.
or whatever to play. So that I think those release events are definitely canceled. Would they move the paper release? Because they could just release it. You order online. Wait a minute. So if you order online, it's not coming from your LGS, right? So it's like a double death knell to your LGS, right? But like you could theoretically get the product in your hands, play it at home by yourself. Okay, I see all the flaws to my arguments.
Yeah, like I would play digitally, right?
Yeah, so like if they push that back, like it's just gonna push everything back, right? Like I don't know how you would ever recover from that because it's not like there's a date where we could declare COVID-19 completed, right? Like it's like an ongoing situation. So do you push back the set after that? Do you like triple release 3 standard sets in a row or something like 6 months down the line? Like it's totally
spirit bomb of releases.
It's totally unknown. So that's why I think they're just going to stick with the schedule and then LGSs get hit super hard as everyone just buys from Amazon now because that's the only thing open. Like, I don't know.
Honestly, digital is just digital's fine, right? So I think I think they're just gonna have to bite the bullet on this and just accept that the paper sales are gonna completely tank for this, right? Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't see a situation unless everything gets resolved before the pre-release.
Which, I mean, that seems exceedingly unlikely considering it's less than a month away at this point. Like,
and so people are still going outside and partying on beaches,
which is why it's gonna last forever. Right? Like,
unfortunately, yeah.
I mean, but then we also have like Challenger decks released before that. We have Core Set 2020, which is only a couple of months after that. I don't know what's going to happen with all that. Like, I don't know. Like, does this like hasten everything just going digital? Is there a chance that Paper Magic just like goes away for the most part and everything goes towards digital because of this? The other concern is, we talked about this a little last week, I think we're going to see mass closures of local game stores. Like, local game stores are not huge businesses with a ton of money in reserve that can afford to close down for a month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it ends up being, and then just get back into it. I don't even know what the Paper Magic system is going to look like because I don't know how many of those game stores are going to exist when this is over.
I think Paper Magic will just, I'm not like, this is going to sound crazy to some, but I think Paper Magic will just become EDH and that's it. Like, that's all that there will be. At some point, I think that's just the way it's going to go. And then all the things like you have standard, modern, pioneer, all that goes on to digital. Then they go all in on their digital clients for competitive play. And then the only people that buy paper will be the collectors, EDH players, stuff like that.
I feel maybe that's too extreme. I feel paper would get smaller, but I do feel like, so the stores that are struggling will probably just go away. But like at some point they're going to rise from the ashes, like some of them. And there are going to be stores that you want to hang out in, right? Like stores where you can go grab food, play other games, like just like a general hangout place. Like kind of like how we have arcades today, like in like Dave & Buster's and things like that versus 20 years ago where we had like, every mall had an arcade. They'll consolidate into some kind of like experience place where you come and play, with your friends, or you come and just hang out. So I feel like Paper Magic will always exist, but I think Krim is right in the sense that you're not going to have like everyone will by default own a paper standard deck. I think a lot of people will just play that digitally. You may own a legacy deck, a modern deck, EDH decks, things like that. But I mean, if we say all these other formats go digital, why does EDH not go digital, right? Like, I don't know why there's just random line here versus casual and competitive. Like, if everything else is going digital, like, why could EDH not go digital? So,
I feel like
because there's a lot of
EDH
collectors.
Well, I don't think they're going to stop making paper Magic.
Yeah, I don't think they'll stop
even if
making
they went
it.
completely digital as far as tournament play, I think you can still go buy booster boxes and still, like, they make so much money off that. Like, I think we forget, like, I don't even know if Arena makes a profit, period, when you consider all the costs at this point. Like, I don't know if it's actually making any money. And then you have Secret Lair where they make millions of dollars in a single day. So I can't imagine that they actually are going to stop printing cards and paper at this point or anytime in the near future.
Yeah.
But I do think tournament play could shift more heavily towards digital, or maybe even be exclusively to digital. As far as EDH, I think part of the heart of the format is the interpersonal interaction. Like, if you want to,
It's a board game.
It's right? A 4-player game normally. Yeah. It's about the gathering and getting together with your friends and hanging out. And Magic is just kind of the facilitator of, you know, a night out with your friends type of thing. So I feel like it wouldn't work the same in digital, which is maybe why the line is drawn there. The other thing to consider here is, I almost think this is what Wizards wants. You mentioned, like, certain really good game stores surviving this and thriving after we get out of this. But we kind of already seen that if you look at, like, the premium program, which already kind of seemed designed to focus most of Wizards' support to the really good game stores, essentially, the premium game stores, while the other, like, small game stores that are, you know, gonna struggle most during this time aren't getting as much as support. So I almost feel like that's what Wizards wanted, was to cull the number of local game stores and get rid of a lot of problems. When you hear about problems with local game stores, it's not the Card Kingdoms and Channel Fireballs and Cool Stuff Incs. and those type of places. But when you see the Reddit posts of bad things going on or whatever, or offensive stuff, sometimes that's a little, like, small hole in the wall game shops that people don't necessarily want to go into. I almost feel like this is part of Wizards' plan. Obviously, this isn't how they wanted to get there. The plan wasn't to have coronavirus be this huge issue, but I kind of feel like this is the direction Wizards wanted paper Magic to go anyway, where instead of 1 million small local game stores, they have 100,000, these numbers are way off, but, like, a much smaller number of really high quality local game stores.
all right, I'm gonna say that in a less sinister way. I think Wizards doesn't want to prop up game stores, right? Like, they don't want to, like, have to keep giving them handouts in the sense of, like, you know, promos, special items or stuff like that. Like, I don't think they want to do that. They want stores to kind of stand up on their own merit and to kind of be partners with Wizards, as opposed to Wizards kind of, like, feeding them promos to keep people coming to their stores. So in that sense, they want the stores to kind of go above and beyond and create, like, this environment that people want to go to, whether or not Wizards is there or not. And that just naturally makes kind of like the small game stores with, like, maybe just me and you open a game store and every week our 4 buddies come over and, like, that's it. Those stores will find it hard to survive. Whereas the big stores that are really focusing on getting new customers, getting more people into Magic, things like that, they'll thrive. So I think that's where Wizards wants to go. But I still think a lot of Magic, like, there are only so many Card Kingdoms and Channel Fireballs in the world, right? Like, unless you live in a major metro area, like, you cannot get to that store to play, right? So, like, if you live somewhere with a smaller population, like, how do you play Magic at all, right? It has to be these small mom and pop shops, right? So I do think Wizards actually, if they want paper Magic to survive, they need to actually help these stores, because, you know, I'm not going to drive, like, 2 hours to the largest metro nearby just to play Magic, right? I'm just going to drive 5 minutes down the street. And if that store closes, then I don't play paper Magic, right? Maybe I play digital Magic, or maybe I don't play Magic at all. So I do think you do need the little stores just to make it easy for people to play Magic. And then if they go, people just won't play Magic.
I mean, I know for me, where I live, if it was only premium stores, I wouldn't have a local game store I could go to if I wanted to. Like, it's already pretty scattered in a like small town rural area. But it would be hours to get to a premium store from here. So if all those small shops did close down, I wouldn't have any place to go at all for stuff like that. And I don't know. And then you have the other layer over this whole thing of, are people even going to have money for Magic in the short term? Like, even if they do just release Ikoria and Challenger decks and Core Set 2020, if everyone's, or a lot of people are, losing hours, losing jobs, getting laid off, having to deal with all this other stuff, are people even going to have money to buy that? Like, it seems like Magic, it would be on the list of stuff you would cut from your budget if you had to. Like, as much as people love Magic, if you're choosing between, paying the rent and buying a booster box of Ikoria, most people are probably going to choose to pay their rent, and rightly so. So I think that's the other factor that's over all this. What do you think about Ikoria? Let's assume that it just releases normally. I expect it's going to be very undersold compared to other recent sets. Do you think that creates an opportunity for people that do have disposable income? Like, because the supply is going to be lower, do you think we're going to end up a year from now seeing mythics from Ikoria be ridiculously expensive because they weren't sold when the set released and all this stuff was going on?
I mean, we've seen like sets that happen to sets where like they just weren't opened. You know what I mean? Like they weren't popular, and mythics from there like skyrocketed. But so like I could definitely see that kind of situation happening. I mean, what is it, like Fate Reforged, right? Like, I mean, Fate Reforged was not that crazy opened, and like Monastery Mentor and Ugin are like crazy pricey.
Yeah, Voice of Resurgence was like super expensive before it got reprinted because Dragon's Maze was like a pretty horrible set that no one wanted to buy. So yeah, it's
too MTG finance for
topic.
I mean, the correct call would be to like not buy it on release, but to buy it like basically the week before you think it will recover and go up, right? But you're basically banking on a couple of things, like the whole economy recovering, right? And at which point, like, are there better things to be doing with your money, right? Like the stock market is sitting there at an all-time low or whatever. So too MTG finance for me. But here's the other question. A lot of things, and by a lot of things I mean movies, have pushed up their release date, right? So I believe Onward is in theaters. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video right now. So something that was in theaters is now available for digital streaming. So they've moved up the release date. Any chance Ikoria gets pushed closer to us so that maybe next week we're playing Ikoria on Magic Arena?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But then the issue with that is you have to assume that there's like, stuff for like content creators and whatnot. All their promotional work that they like put time and money into, like the company and like all these people. I don't think they will. I think they'll keep it on track. They may not push it back, but I think they'll keep it just to its regular release.
I think no spoiler season, just dumping Ikoria like next Monday or whatever, next Thursday when spoilers are supposed to start onto Arena would be amazing. That would be so cool. Could you imagine like not having time to prepare and just all of a sudden being like, hey, here's 250 new cards. Have fun. Like figure this out. You don't have 2 weeks to go over spoilers and start building test decks. You're just like dumping it all out there. I think that would be amazingly fun. And I would give up my spoiler cards in a second just to experience that one time. Like, I think that would just be such a cool and unique experience.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think Wizards will do anything above and beyond normal Ikoria, whether it's normal release or earlier? Like, for example, free standard or free drafts or anything like that where you have access to the whole card pool, like any special things on top of normal Ikoria?
I know they've mentioned some events like that are going to be, I think they're like weekly events. And one of them was like you get the whole card pool. You don't get to keep the cards, obviously, but you can play in the event. You can build as many decks as you want. So I know that they're doing some things like that, but I'm guessing that they'll be temporary things, and not things that actually shift the economy. I don't think they're going to be like, hey, everyone gets all the cards in Ikoria for free forever. But they will do things like, hey, for this week, we're going to give you all the cards in standard or in historic, and you can have fun with them for the week. All right. Any other thoughts on this, or should we answer some fish mail? I think we covered most of our topics for today, our small slice of topics that we actually had in this crazy Magic world.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move on to fish mail. So if you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish on Twitter with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. Troy Foreman 11 had an idea for a cool Secret Lair product, legendary cosplayers, where Wizards uses the awesome cosplayers in the MTG community as art on cards. What would your thoughts about a product like that be?
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. It's almost like an invitational card. Like you'll get like a Teysa, Gobert Hicks and all of that, and Tappy as like Joyra or something. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a cool product.
Yeah,
I think the only thing is maybe I wonder how many casual players kind of just miss it. Like, I wonder how enfranchised in Magic you have to be to even know like who the cosplayers are. So I wonder if it would sell enough, if enough people are familiar with like the cosplay community that aren't like regular MagicFest attendees and whatnot.
Like, we're talking like art. Like, are we talking like a live action kind of just like picture or something printed on the card, or are we talking like the
I was assuming it would be art, like an artist rendition of a cosplayer as a character, not just like a picture. I think a picture would be very weird. I would love that.
I don't if it's an artist rendition, but like, you know, like and whatnot, but like the person captures all the like features, facial features and whatnot, like an invitational card and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, I think it'd still be fine, like, right? Because like, I'm sure people don't know, example, like they have the Shadow Mage Infiltrator with John Finkel on there, right? And to them, they just want it. But I guess, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be fine. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it would be cool, but I would want to see more invitational cards first. I'd rather see other people enshrined in Magic cards first. Like, we don't have a Apollo card, or we don't have an LSV card. So I don't know, like maybe just start inserting Hall of Famers into cards. But it would be a cool promo. Like at a Magic Fest would actually be pretty cool. If you go to Magic Fest, you get a cosplayer card. They're there. They actually sign it for you. So like a super limited rather than like a kind of like a widespread product.
Yeah, it could be sweet.
Coral, a few years ago, you said you could buy a modern deck, which were expensive even back then, and it would be good for years. After the rise of cards from MH and the banning of staples like Mox Opal and looting, I'm not sure that's true.
Well, I play fair cards, so I have not had anything banned or anything remotely to be worried about. Actually, I've had things unbanned, like Jace. So I don't know. I guess it comes down to your play style, right? Like what kind of decks you like playing. If you gravitate towards the more powerful things, there's a chance, right? Like I'm talking like really powerful things. Like Mox Opal should have been gone a long time ago. Like
So there still are some decks that have been around forever, with Jund being like one of the big ones. That's a top tier deck still, and it's been around since the beginning. Tron is still there, Dredge, Humans, Burn. So there are some decks that are still there, but I do agree with the question that things have changed to some extent, because Wizards has made it explicitly clear that they are printing cards intentionally to shake up formats like Modern, when they weren't doing that a few years ago. Like, the goal for Wizards is to print cards that shake up Modern in standard sets, obviously in like Modern Horizon sets. So I do think that it is much less like that than it was 5 years ago or something, just because Wizards has changed their philosophy on how they print cards. When before we would get maybe no impactful cards for Modern in some sets, maybe one or two that were like, oh, maybe this shows up in the sideboard. And now we're getting Okos and Uros and Once Upon a Times, every single set. And I expect we'll get another Modern Horizons again, which completely shook up the format.
Yeah. I think a Modern deck has a shelf life of like 1 to 2 years. The only thing that's safe in my mind are the lands. So like fetch lands and shock lands. Everything else is subject to power creep
and mid-range
or ban. No, mid-range is the most terrible thing. Remember, guys? I had Jund. I'm like, oh, let's upgrade it for MagicFest Vegas. That's just a cool $600, right? Because when you play mid-range,
Red
you're
6.
playing a pile of the best cards. And the best
Oh, you
cards
are?
change with power creep.
I don't know, Richard. Even basic lands got power creeped with Modern Horizons. Like
Snow
now it's all
covered.
snow covered. Like even
Yeah.
your basic lands aren't safe.
So I think
I mean,
1 to 2 years. Like I don't think like your deck could be good. It could get hit with a banning. It could be just replaced by a better version of your deck, or your deck is still around, but there are like key upgrades. Like say you owned Tron. Well, when Ulamog was printed, you got to go buy all the Ulamogs, right? Like you got to go buy all these cards, and it's another couple $100, and it just keeps kind of going. So the idea of just owning a deck and never changing it and playing it forever, I think is not realistic, unless like you don't care how good your deck is. Like you could theoretically play like a Merfolk deck from like 5 years ago and still be the exact same, but it's not the optimal version of the deck, right?
Interestingly, I feel like the same thing happened to Legacy. And
Yep.
Legacy was even more like that than Modern was, where Legacy, new cards hardly ever broke into it, to the point where we wouldn't even do like top 10 Legacy videos for set releases, because the answer is just like, no. Like Legacy's too good, these cards are too bad, none of them are going to work there. But if you look at Legacy right now, Snow decks are at the top of the meta, Underworld Breach was at the top of the meta before it got banned. So even Legacy is going through the same thing, where you're spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a deck, and it's definitely possible that it just gets, power crept out of the format in a year or two.
The only safe format is old school.
like Richard
Pauper.
said, lands.
Pauper is
Like
good.
lands are good. Like lands are the things that you can usually play and move around. Like I mean, even like control decks got things along the way, right? Like Force Negation, Teferi, all this other stuff. So like you did have to buy new cards anyways, but the land stayed the same.
Unless, like Seth said, there's snow-covered lands.
Yeah. Okay. Not the basic
Imagine
lands.
you bought Raging Ravine when it was like $1 billion, right?
they were
And then
40
they
or
printed
something?
Field of Ruin, and you're like, no, Wizards, why?
I guess that puts it down to shocks and fetches.
Shocks-
Shocks and fetches.
shocks, fetches.
That's all you need to own. That's all you need to
Remember
own.
when people played Tech Edge? Like, oh boy. Look how
Oh,
long
boy,
ago that
I did.
was, right? All right. 11 Vicious. White Caster Mage. 1 white, flash 1/2. If an opponent would draw a card this phase, you draw a card and your opponent skips that draw unless they pay 2.
So
So it blanks a draw?
It blanks. It's like the cat, except it blanks any draw, right? You
Including
can
their
blank their draw
actual draw
phase
for
if you
turn.
wanted to, or make them pay 2 mana.
I kind of feel like blinking the draw step is rough. I think that might be too much.
But yeah, like see, it's weird. Like the early game, that card is like absolutely bonkers, right?
If you're on the play, turn 2, you just take their card and you get a card and get a 1/2
But, like,
on top of it.
Turn 13, they're like, okay, yeah, I pay 2 mana. So
What if
I
they
don't
Sphinx
know.
is rev for the maximum amount?
Oh, that would be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. Yeah, I think that card would be pretty strong.
It's also a 2 mana 1/2 though.
It's not a 2/1. It's not as fast
So
of a
it
clock
doesn't-
as Snapcaster.
I think this might actually
I
be
think it'd be
balanced.
too.
I
I
don't
think
know.
you got to exclude the draw step.
If you exclude the draw step, it's like 2 conditional. It needs to be like a 3/1 or something. It needs to be stronger.
Huh.
Because
But
it
doesn't-
includes the draw step, that's why I think it's absolutely bonkers. And it's not legendary, right? Okay, I gotta make sure, cause like I can see them like, haha, we almost gave white a really good card, but we made it legendary too, by the way.
I actually think this is actually a pretty close attempt. Although I just don't like white raw drawing cards. Like we already have enough colors that just straight up draw cards. It needs to be something that gives you
shouldn't
card
just be,
advantage
like-
without actually just drawing cards.
No. It should be like they could pay 2 or you gain 3 life, right? Like,
Because 3 life is a card.
They get
It's-
paid to fizzle your 3 life game. That sounds like a good card.
All right. Only for contact. Everyone goes on about wanting to draw cards in Commander Clash. What are your favorite one-time card draw spells? What about repeatable effects?
I think my favorite one-time draw spell is Decree of Pain.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh. Yeah, that I played Decree in a lot of decks too. I would probably say for one time, probably Muldrifter. because it works with all my Panharmonicon shenanigans. It's hard to pass
Not
up a
Cloud
divination
Blazer?
that triggers with Panharmonicon.
Not Cloud Blazer? I feel like I've seen you play more Cloud Blazers, and maybe it's because of Vegas, but like I feel like you've played so much Cloud Blazer, and it's gained you so much life and drawn you so many cards.
I play a lot of. I play them both. Like if I'm in a Panharmonicon deck, they're both in there somewhere. So yeah, those are really good. Repeatable. I like Phyrexian Arena a lot. I think that might be. I don't play Rhystic Study much because it's annoying on Magic Online. So I just don't like how it interacts, or I would play it more often. But Phyrexian Arena I really like is a repeatable card draw.
Yeah, I think Arena's a good one. It's cheap. It's at the cost of only one life when you're at 40. I'm a fan of that. It's either that or like, I don't know. I still do love like Sphinx's Red, but that's not repeatable. So, but Blue Sun Zenith is.
Oh, Blue Sun. I guess Blue Sun is like sort of repeatable.
Draw your whole deck so that you can draw back the Blue Sun.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the black one? The pay 5 life, draw 5 cards, entwine, make a demon.
Promise of Power.
Promise of Power. That's my favorite. I always play that.
That card is sweet.
Snare Johnson 664. I know Seth says there are too many full art lands, but Krim, how much would you pay for teen anime Jace Islands?
Oh, wait, what? An anime island?
Teen anime Jace Islands. Jace as an edgy teenager
on an island in anime form. Dude, that is priceless. There's no money that could be paid for that. That is too good.
Do you alter any
and
of your
white
cards?
Border.
Do you have like anime Jace drawn onto an island somewhere? If not,
No. I don't, like, oh wait, hold on. We're talking about regular, like normal animation drawn on there, right? Because like I know that you go into the weird parts of the internet, so I'm talking about regular Jace just being a chill dude on an island, anime form.
You can be, however, this question says teen anime Jace. Does that have a special meaning that I don't know of?
I don't see. That's the thing. Like, is there a special meaning? And I don't know it either, because the way I'm reading it is just a regular Jace, and that's what I want. A regular Jace drawn on an island.
I think it means
anime
like
style.
Weeb Jace on an island.
Yeah. And the island is white bordered. The island is white bordered. If it were my ideal land, it would be white bordered. Like, I know that we trolled like Andrew, MTG Mudsta on Commander Clash with it, like his disdain for white bordered cards, but I actually love white bordered cards, so.
He actually has a white bordered Snapcaster Mage.
Boy do I. And Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
I can't believe he spent the time to take an eraser and deface a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, you just go to Staples and you sit there and you just scrub. You buy a magic rub and you just scrub.
All right. Last question. Heck boy, how come the MTG community doesn't talk about raising the sideboard card limit? Is it not an effective way to combat degeneracy while also making games more interactive? Or do games become worse because people draw their sideboard hate more?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a complicated issue because of the reasons that you stated. Like, 15, there was an argument for a while about raising it to 20 for a format like Modern, and I don't feel like there was ever any consensus on it. Some people felt like it would be a good thing because it lets you have more answers to a wider range of decks in a format that has a ton of different playable decks. Other people, exactly like you said, were like, well, now I can play all the hate cards and it's just going to be hate card versus hate card all the time. I don't know. I've never really thought deeply about it. Do either of you have opinions on it?
No.
I did at the time.
Now, 100% no. We have so many hateful color cards. Can you imagine, like, if your opponent could just put 4 Veil of Summers in their sideboard? You know what I've been playing recently? Choke and Boil. Can you imagine if I could just fill out my sideboard with them just for your match? Like, oh, you tapped out on turn 4? Sorry, game's over. Right? Like, you do not... The cards are too hateful. Like, I think we should like lower the number of sideboard spots.
No. 15 is just fine. And do you play the Boil because of all the Dryad of Elysium?
I played it originally for the Mystic Sanctuaries, but then it just randomly hits Dryad of Elysium too. So I'm like, oh, this is great. Right? Like, yes, I'll just leave your 2/3 or 2/4 whatever on the battlefield. I don't care about that. And then just boil them.
Yeah. End of turn, Boil.
Yeah. I was like, do you want to keep going? I can keep going.
I think at a point I did want it to get increased, maybe not to like 20, but like 18 cards. I think like 3 more cards wouldn't be that bad, right? And but then I thought about it, it's like, what would I do with those additional slots? And all I thought was hate out Tron more. So like
it would
like,
make
like,
mid-range decks the best decks, I believe.
Right? It like because legitimately,
if I just put 8
like 12.
like graveyard hate cards in my sideboard, I'm like, there's no graveyard deck would ever survive this, right? Or if I put like 8 anti-storm cards in my sideboard, like you just cannot beat this in any way. The only way to beat this is to play like a fair mid-range deck and like duke it out. So I think it would actually limit our diversity rather than increase it if we have too many sideboard slots.
Combo decks board into mid-range.
Splinter Twin. That's Splinter Twin right there.
Yeah, every deck is Splinter Twin.
All right, that's all our fish mail this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 269 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So Richard Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. So we'll be back next week to talk about whatever goes down in the world of Magic. So until then, stay safe, everyone. And this is Crew signing out.